Hey, what is up people? This is Johnny and welcome to my top 5 Pokemon that deserve a Mega Evolution from Generation 4. Number 5, Ambipom is a normal type Pokemon with the weaknesses of fighting. Its category is Long Tail. Its abilities is Pickup and Technician. Its Pokédex entry states they work in large colonies and make rings by linking their tails apparently in friendship. Now Ambipom is a Generation 4 Pokemon. They got an evolution from its previous Pokemon Aipom, which was in Generation 2. Now this Pokemon has some pretty good base stats. It has an extreme speed, so this Pokemon will be able to attack first. And it has a pretty decent amount of other balanced stats in its base stats. And that's why Ambipom deserves a Mega Evolution. It's also a pretty cool Pokemon. Number 4, Roserade. Roserade is a grass type and poison type Pokemon. It has several weaknesses: fire, flying, ice, psychic. And it has an ability of Poison Point, Natural Cure, and its category is Bouquet. The Pokédex entry states luring prey with a sweet sense. It uses poison whips on its arm to poison, blind, and finish off the prey. So this Pokemon may not be the best for competitive, but it does have some sort of advantage with its poison point and as well as its natural cure. But it has a pretty decent moves that you can use on the opponents, and it could be highly effective. Now it has 2 previous evolutions, Voodoo and also Roselia. And it looks pretty awesome, so I pretty much chose this Pokemon mainly more for of its design, and I would like to see this. They gave Mega Gallade a design, so that's pretty awesome. It would be nice to see a Roserade get a Mega Evolution. Number 3, Electrive and Magmatour. Now I'm putting these together because they're sort of like the opposite of each other. Let's start off with Electrive. It is an electric type and its weakness is ground. This Pokemon is the category is the Thunderbolt, and it also has abilities of Motor Drive. As Pokédex entry states, as its electric charge amplifies, blue sparks begin to crackle between its horns. Its base stats are pretty high. If you look at them, it has the most of attack of base high, and it has a pretty good speed, and everything else is pretty well balanced in this Pokemon. It also has 2 previous evolutions, Elekid and Electabuzz, which is pretty awesome Pokemons that you may remember from previous generation, but this Pokemon was introduced in Generation 4. Now let's go on to the next one, Magmatour. Magmatour is a fire type Pokemon with the weaknesses of ground, rock, and water. It also is the category Blast Pokemon. Its abilities is the Flame Body. Its Pokédex entry states its blast fireballs of over 3,600 degrees Fahrenheit from the ends of its arm. It lives in volcano craters, and it has previous evolutions of Magby and Magmar. And if you look at its base stats, it's pretty high. It has a high special attack, and it still has a pretty balanced attack and special defense and speed. This Pokemon is pretty awesome. These 2 Pokemon deserve a Mega Evolution for that purpose, that they're pretty strong, and it would be nice to see their 3rd evolution finally get the Mega Evolution they deserve. Number 2, Luxray is an electric type Pokemon with the weaknesses of ground. Its category is Gleam Eyes, and its abilities is Intimidate and Rivalry. The Pokédex entry states when its eyes gleam gold, it can spot hiding prey, even those taking shelter behind a wall. Now if you look at its base stats, it's not that bad. It's actually a pretty good Pokemon for using for competitive, and it has pretty high balanced stats, and its most highest stat is attack. So this Pokemon is pretty aggressive, and it is pretty good. I actually like this Pokemon. And if you see the previous evolution, it has a Shinx and a Luxio, and then it's Luxray. It deserves a Mega Evolution. This Pokemon just looks amazing when it has its final evolution. I actually like this Pokemon, and this Pokemon was actually pretty easy to capture in Diamond and Pearl, and it definitely deserves a Mega Evolution. And for the final, number 1 Pokemon that deserves a Mega Evolution is Rotom. It is an electric type and ghost type Pokemon with the weaknesses of Ghost and Dark. It is the category of a Plasma, and it's also its abilities is Levitate. This Pokédex entry states, research continues on this Pokemon, which could be the power source of a unique mortar. Now, it does not have any previous evolutions, and it has a pretty low base stats if you look at it. But the thing is, with Rotom, you can have different forms of Rotoms where it can change its own types, like water type, grass type, with different types of stuff in a certain way in the game. You can change its forms of this Pokemon, which will then raise up the stats in other categories. But I know this Pokemon would be kind of hard to have like a Mega Evolution, because they would have to make like a design for each different type of Rotom, which would be like 5 Pokemons, even though because of its forms. But I think this would be a pretty awesome Pokemon to have a Mega Evolution. I know many people use Rotom and a competitive scene in battling, so I think this Pokemon is fair, and I do like the design. It's pretty unique, and it's kind of different from other Pokemons that I've seen before. Thanks for watching, and I hope you like my top 5 Pokemon that deserve a Mega Evolution in Generation 4. Leave a comment in the comment section what Pokemons you think deserve a Mega Evolution in Gen 4. Also, if you haven't checked out some of my previous videos, make sure to click on those 2 boxes in the middle to go watch them. Thanks.